The Big Biz Show continues with Russ and Sully.
Yeah,
oh, yes,
baby.
indeedy, it does.
It's time for Biz-Tory. That's right, a look at business history. Sully wanted to know the history of
The stock market.
The stock market.
Yes.
The New York Stock
There
Exchange
you
is
go.
where I focused my energies.
Okay.
So over 200 years ago, trading on the U.S. stock market started. Why?
Yeah.
Listen up, I'm going to tell you.
Okay, tell us.
It's because the colonial government needed cash for the war, and they sold bonds. War bonds. Yeah, that's right. They took in some cash and promised to pay out a profit at a later date. Good idea, thought the banks, so they started issuing stocks and shares of their company to raise money for themselves. How about that? So banks like the idea. It's a really, pretty much a great scheme and scam for rich people to get richer. At the time, it was just like rich people played. They just played.
Yeah.
So down the history timeline, about 1792, 24 big shot merchants started this little market that we like to call the New York Stock Exchange,
no
NYSE. That's right.
All right.
And these, the dirty double dozen, as I like to call them, met daily on Wall Street.
That'd be 24,
Yeah,
right?
and to trade stocks and bonds. That's why they met. And they promised to meet every day and do that, stocks and bonds. And they weren't even in the building. They were just right there on Wall Street, sitting there.
On a Wall Street.
Wall Street. And that was actually got its name because the Dutch built a wall to keep the Indians away. Then they killed the Indians. No need for the wall. Tore it down and put up a street right there. Anyway.
Boy, next thing you know, old Jed's a millionaire.
That's
Nicely
right.
done.
Let's fast forward to the mid-1800s. The U.S. was growing fast. Companies needed cash to keep up with the growth, so they sold stock
Yeah.
in their company. And it works. Check
Wow.
the history books, man. Investors were interested in buying stock, becoming part owner of these companies. Then in the mid-1800s, this new little stock market thing was looked at by investors and companies as being the shizzle my dizzle, is what I'm saying.
I think that's what they said. That's where they coined the term.
That's right, back in the
mid-1800s.
mid-1800s. Now, although historically investing in stocks was just a little hobby for the rich people, average Joe didn't take long to realize the value of investing in stocks along with the traditional assets like the land or the house and stuff like that.
I didn't know that it was only meant for the rich.
Oh, yeah, it's very
No
nice.
kidding.
An
That's why they
average
made
Joe
monopoly for the poor.
Then it all screwed up. About 1921, the stock market moved indoors finally.
Yeah.
Millions of shares are being sold at that time. And then here comes the Industrial Revolution, and people started to realize that profits could be made by reselling their stock to others who saw even more value in that company.
Sounds like an auction to me.
You know what it is. And here we go for the rest of the bit. These were the speculators or secondary market. This market was more volatile than before because it was now fueled by highly subjective speculations about the company's futures.
Yeah.
So they're thinking, these M&Ms are going to catch on, and they would buy into, Mars, whatever.
Sure.
So the reason the New York Stock Exchange is so highly regarded among stock markets was primarily because they only traded in very large, well-establised companies.
That's right, like GE and General Mills and General.
Anything with a general was doing real well back then.
Yeah.
It acted kind of as more of a stable investment alternative for the people that are interested in throwing their capital into the stock market arena. Well, we all remember 1934. I was just a kid,
let me bring it back
course.
to the gentler time.
That's right.
1934.
This was the year the big stock market crashed, and following the great crash, the SEC is born.
Nailed it, boy.
Security and Exchange Commission. Are you watching? Probably. They actually run the stock market trading. The SEC also oversees the daily actions of market exchanges and how they trade securities offered and stuff like that.
Hey, listen, and it's a good thing, and I'll tell you why.
The good thing that the SEC is around?
Yes, because it wasn't around during the stock market crash. Neither was the FDIC.
Right.
So we didn't have insurance on our deposits. We didn't have anybody overseeing. See, here's the problem. When you print stock, it's kind of like our government does. You know how they print money?
Just print it up.
Well, the problem is...
Oh, back then you didn't have any limit on how many you could sell stuff like that?
You could say, you want some stock in my company? Here, give me a pen.
Yeah,
Right.
so there you have it. That's a little look at Biz-Tory right around now.
There you go. I'm not